The length of time needed for an asylum seeker to be eligible to apply to settle permanently in the UK is set to quadruple from 5 to 20 years. That's under controversial new plans unveiled by the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood.
Yeah, the move aims to deter illegal migrants, but human rights organisations say the policy leaves vulnerable people in limbo. But we are asking this morning, is the answer for illegal migrants to be barred from getting citizenship at all? Here to discuss with us is broadcaster Fahima Mahomed and Conservative MP for Broxbourne Lewis Cocking. Very good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Lewis Cocking, is this something you would back? Just if you come here illegally, you never become a citizen?
I think one of the biggest pull factors for illegal migrants, illegal asylum seekers to cross the channel is the fact that they can get British citizenship very easily, and I would ban all of them. If you arrive in this country illegally, no ifs, no buts, you should not be eligible for indefinite leave to remain or British citizenship. That is a big pull factor. The only people that gain from that system are the vile human traffickers. We cannot allow this to happen. We've got to have the rule of law. You've got legal routes to go through. We cannot have people just rock up and claim asylum illegally.
Fahima, does that make your skin crawl?
Look, I understand the sentiment, and I understand when people saying illegal that we just look at them as criminals. They are not criminals, all of them. They are coming, majority of them that do get approval is because they've gone through the process and they are actually able to be here legally. Now, if we're going to actually make that a lot more longer, which actually we have a backlog anyway, and that's not a deterrent. We have a system that's broken that needs to be fixed, and that will actually make it much better to know who legally should be here and who shouldn't.
Do you think there is any merit at all in having a debate about deterring people from coming here as asylum seekers?
Absolutely not, because I think when people are desperate and vulnerable or feeling that this is where they want to be, everyone's attracted to the UK, not because of it being soft. It's just the way that they feel that they want to live. Because remember, there's a history in the UK that they have also imprinted and implanted themselves across the globe, so people feel that there is an attachment somehow to come here.
But there is an argument they're coming from France. That's the argument often put to people who make your argument. France is safe too. Do they need to come to the UK? Wouldn't a deterrent just reduce some of them from crossing? Of course, there might still be desperate people who say, no, it has to be the UK. But we might weed out some of those who don't necessarily have to come to the UK.
They don't necessarily have to, but again, they have connections. Most likely they speak English. Most likely they feel that they want to actually belong here. So that's what I feel. Even though a lot of people may not like it, at the end of the day, we are following the rule of law and we are, compulsory to do so.
And actually, isn't the danger with some of this, Lewis, if we're saying people can never have citizenship, or if Shabana Mahmood is saying we make them wait for 20 years before they get citizenship, actually what we do is just prevent integration. We leave people in this limbo that they're already in, and then we have the sort of segregation of society that's creating a lot of the suspicion, a lot of the upset that we're seeing in towns and villages across the country because of asylum hotels or military sites is the latest one we've seen over the weekend. How does this help with any of that?
I mean, I think that's just a load of nonsense. I believe that fundamentally, when you go out to speak to the British people, most people think that if you arrive here illegally, you should never be able to stay. If you come through legal routes, that's a completely different matter. We cannot have the levels of illegal immigration that we've seen at huge cost to the taxpayer, because that is the biggest pull factor, the fact that most people that come on a small boat have their asylum claims assessed and approved by this Labour government. The fact that they get that status is the biggest pull factor we can have, and we've got to end that. We've got to have proper deterrents in place, and the biggest deterrent we can do is to say, if you arrive on our shores illegally, you will never be able to get indefinite leave to remain or British citizenship. What
do you say to those who say if you're coming from somewhere where there has been, desperate persecution, there is only one route out, and that is the illegal route. You're never going to get a legal path to the UK, and that we should be a home, a refuge for those people?
Well, we are a kind country. We've seen the programme we've had to help Ukrainians with the war that's going on in Ukraine at the moment. We will come up with bespoke systems where there are unique circumstances throughout the world. That's always happened throughout our history. But we cannot just have a blanket. If you arrive here illegally, you're going to be able to stay.
It's not a blanket, though.
But it is a blanket.
No,
that is the biggest pull factor.
No, it's not. It's not a blanket. I think we really are just generalising a lot of things. Cases are individual. And even the ones that you see that are there when people want to get rid of the ECHR and things like that. Those are individual cases that might conform to certain articles. But even when we talk about Denmark, these things only came into place over like sort of 10 years ago when it started, and now we're only seeing some of the actual benefits of it. These things take time, and we are a different country to Denmark, a lot bigger, a lot more backlog, and our systems...
English, which makes a big difference as well.
Yes, but even English, if you think about it, a lot of these people that come here, they actually know not English, but they know multiple languages. It's the people that from England that go elsewhere and they can't speak it. So, you know, we can discuss that in many ways. Integration is so many different things. We can also interpret that in many ways as well.
Lewis Cocking, the Home Secretary said yesterday that illegal immigration is tearing the country apart. You have in your constituency, as I understand it, a row over an asylum hotel. What do you see in the community?
I mean, it is tearing the community apart. I've always been against the location to house illegal asylum seekers at the Delta Merit Hotel in Cheshunt, which is in my constituency. When I was leader of the council, I stopped 2 other sites locally from being used to house illegal asylum seekers. People have had enough. We should have built a detention centre where these people are detained.
But that's the government.
We should have built a detention centre.
They have got contracts
with these
We do not
know where these people have come from, whether they've got criminal records.
No.
They should be detained and deported.
But those
as quickly as
protests
possible.
is absolutely irrelevant because it's the government that has these contracts
To come on TV and say these protests are irrelevant, lots of people I speak to...
It is, because they are targeting the wrong people.
Lots of people
They should be targeting the government who are making the deals. That's what I mean. I mean that at the end of the day, the migrants are coming here and being told where to go. So they have already got the deals done, making billions out of the hotels owners who are actually doing this. That's where the problem is.
Unless we say to people, if you arrive in this country illegally, you will never be able to get British citizenship. That whole chain that you've just described is not going to be able to be
Lewis,
cracked.
I just want to, because of course, you're talking about asylum hotels. We saw over the weekend, I think we just saw the photograph of the protest in Crowborough in Sussex, where asylum seekers would be held in a former military base. I mean, is that any kind of improvement on asylum hotels?
Well, I don't know the specifics of the case. It's not in my constituency. I think we've got to stop the flow of people coming over in small boats, and the only way we do that is have credible deterrence in there. We do need a detention centre where people are housed temporarily, and I mean removed within 7 days, 24 hours, because unless you get that process sorted, unless we come out of the European Convention on Human Rights,
that needs to be
then
resolved.
we're not going to be able to do it.
It's the actual, firmness in the way in which we are actually handling the system in the first place. Nothing to do with the fact that they are not going to be deterred because you say that they're not going to get citizenship. I'll tell you that for now.
Well, that's worked in Denmark.
No, it hasn't.
It has worked in Denmark.
No, it hasn't. They're coming through different routes because they're coming through student visas. They're coming to any other way, and Denmark cannot be compared to the UK.
But we're talking about illegal immigration.
Even with illegal immigration, even still, it has taken them years to actually come up with anything, and it's totally different. And they are also ignoring their human rights.
And something is hard and takes years to implement doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. The British people have had enough. People are taking our generosity for granted.
The figures in Denmark, you're talking about a similar scheme that came in Denmark, where they reduced the number of residence permits. In 2014, there were almost 15,000 asylum seekers arriving in Denmark. By 2021, that figure had dropped to 2,000.
But there's a much less backlog than what we have here as well. Our systems need to be fixing. And I think it's really different to even compare the two countries. And they are ignoring human rights. They are ignoring and pushing the boundaries and change legislation. And they've got different agreements with other countries. We don't have that. We have to look at it differently.
There, we must leave it. Thank you both very much indeed, Fahima and Lewis.
We sort of hear the frustration there, don't we, Susanna, with the system? You know, it's the system. I think both of you agree it's the system that's the problem, whether it's local residents suffering because they are frustrated about the presence of a hotel in your constituency, or the asylum seekers who are facing protests outside their windows because of the system not working. So